In a twist of fate at a local convenience store, one man's quick wit puts him steps ahead of law enforcement during a tense interrogation. This story isn't just about a suspect and detectives. It's a chess game where strategy outshines brute force. Let's explore the story of how clever thinking can turn the tables in the most unexpected ways. In 2011, in Georgia, a sudden alarm at a local 7-Eleven sent police rushing to the scene. Reports of an armed robbery had the local law enforcement on high alert, scouring the area for the perpetrator. The search led them to a nearby residence, where they found Jeff Pearson, known in the community for his struggles with heroin addiction. Pearson was discovered sitting alone, a gun resting by his side. With no other leads, officers made the critical decision to raid the house, apprehending Pearson on the spot. Pearson's arrest was swift, based more on circumstantial evidence than concrete proof of his involvement in the robbery. The weapon found beside him, while incriminating in appearance, was not directly linked to the crime at the convenience store. Nonetheless, in the heat of the moment and with the community's safety at stake, the officers felt they had enough to bring him in for questioning. The absence of clear evidence did not deter the police from holding Pearson as the prime suspect. Pearson's reputation and past encounters with law enforcement painted him as a likely candidate for such a crime. Yet the leap from suspect to convict requires more than just suspicion. As Pearson was taken into custody, the questions began to mount. Would the gun link him to the robbery? Were there witnesses or surveillance footage that could place him at the scene? The officers involved, determined to solve the case, prepared for an interrogation that would probe these questions and more. Yet the initial lack of concrete evidence meant that Pearson's guilt would remain a question mark. While the rush to arrest Pearson might have seemed like a victory for the police, the real challenge was just beginning inside the interrogation room.
Am I under arrest?
For now.
I'm under arrest?
Yeah, I'll explain everything, but before I explain myself to you, before we talk to each other, I need to read your rights, okay?
What am I under arrest for?
Well, like I said, I need to read your rights first. Obviously, the charge is robbery, okay? Yeah, I'll explain everything.
I'm under arrest for robbery?
You are, but...
The interrogation community, a tight-knit circle of law enforcement professionals and legal experts, was already buzzing with whispers of Pearson's past encounters. His history of heroin addiction was no secret, nor was his familiarity with police procedures, which suggested this session would be anything but straightforward. As Pearson sat down, his demeanor was calm, almost eerily composed. His eyes scanned the room, taking in his surroundings with a seasoned awareness that hinted at his preparedness for the tactics that might emerge. The officers leading the interrogation brought their own strategies into the room. One adopted a more aggressive stance, aiming to unsettle Pearson and provoke a confession through pressure.
If you got something that says you didn't do this robbery, this is your chance to talk to us.
Okay, good cop.
No, usually I'm the prick.
You look like the prick.
I am.
The other opted for a seemingly empathetic approach, trying to build rapport and coax information from Pearson under the guise of understanding and assistance. This dynamic duo of interrogation techniques was nothing new to Pearson. His responses were measured, indicating his mental rehearsal for this very scenario.
Did you comprehend what I read you? Jeff, I'm just here to talk to you and figure out what happened and move you on out of here at least Summit.
Throughout the interrogation, Pearson's interaction with the detectives was a display of evasion and assertion. He was acutely aware of his rights and remained vigilant against the psychological maneuvers employed by the officers. His eyes scanned the room, taking in his surroundings with a seasoned awareness that suggested his preparedness for the tactics that might emerge. Despite the intensity of the questioning and the seriousness of the accusations, the outcome of this initial interrogation was inconclusive.
I'm not asking if you want to talk to me at this point. I just wanted to understand what I read to you.
So am I under arrest?
Yes, you're under arrest.
Get me back to the cell. I don't talk to you motherfuckers.
Okay, fair enough.
The lack of direct evidence linking Pearson to the armed robbery left the officers in a predicament. They were unable to secure a confession or gather sufficient information to escalate the charges beyond suspicion. Pearson, using his knowledge of the law and interrogation tactics, maintained his innocence, leaving the room with the case against him no stronger than when he had entered. Pearson's calm entrance into the interrogation room and mindfulness set the pace, but it was his sharp awareness of his rights that truly changed the game. From the outset, Pearson displayed a keen understanding of his rights, a strategic silence that was his first line of defense. His request for a lawyer made promptly showed his awareness of the legal protections afforded to him.
Tell me what happened last night. Plain and simple. Your side of the story.
I'm not talking to you. I'm a lawyer.
All right. This is what I don't understand. I know, but this is what I don't understand, Jeff. You were sitting there talking just like you were ready to sit here and tell me what happened last night, and then all of a sudden I read that to you, and you screw it, I ain't talking to you. I want a lawyer. I don't understand that. What changed?
Because I told you what. I already told you what happened.
You didn't.
How didn't I?
You didn't tell me what happened last night.
How didn't I just tell you what?
But now you've handcuffed me, and I can't talk to you because you've asked for an attorney. So, okay, that's fine. But I will tell you right now, you're still on a hold for a robbery.
I know. I don't know why. I need a fucking lawyer because obviously I didn't do nothing. And obviously you guys know I didn't do nothing because I've been arrested for the same bullshit before, and you guys don't interview me this much. So, wham bam, thank you for the coke, put me back in the cell. That's my home.
We haven't interviewed you yet.
Effectively stalling the detectives' momentum and complicating their approach. The detectives, in their turn, adhered to the procedural script, delivering the Miranda warning, a ritualistic reminder of Pearson's rights to silence and legal counsel. This warning, meant to safeguard the suspect's Fifth Amendment rights, also served as the starting bell for the ensuing mental match. Pearson's calm acknowledgement of these rights, followed by his strategic silence, put the officers in a position where they had to deal with it carefully, balancing the need to extract information with the legal boundaries set by these rights. The officers attempted to steer Pearson's defenses with a mix of pressure and persuasion, hoping to find a crack in his armor. Yet, Pearson, undeterred, used his silence as a shield. Despite the detectives' experience and the psychological tools at their disposal, they were unable to breach Pearson's defenses. The lack of direct evidence against him and his persistent exercise of his legal rights left the law enforcement officers with little to claim as progress.
Okay. I've been through the system, buddy. I know how it works.
I know you have.
You're not my friend.
I'm not your friend.
You're trying to fucking get me. Or
I'm not trying to get you.
All you're trying to get is some fucking stupid ass fucking confession, and you're not going to get one.
Jeff, I'm not going to get a confession out of you for nothing.
Exactly, because I didn't do nothing.
I'm not trying to get a confession out of you.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I didn't commit no armed robbery, and y'all ain't got no fucking evidence saying I did. Let me go. All you did is find me sitting in my buddy's house because my fucking buddy's dog's going ape shit. I go outside. There are cops everywhere, and they spotlight me. They say, "Come here." I say, "What's up?" They search me. They ain't find nothing. What's up?
Let me read this.
No.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to sign it.
You don't have to sign it. But let me read it for you. Okay?
I'm not signing nothing.
You don't have to sign it.
Pearson's interrogation demonstrated the potent combination of legal knowledge and mental fortitude, ultimately ensuring that the charges against him remained unsubstantiated. With his rights as a shield, Pearson faced the detective's tactics head-on. Now let's see how he handled the heat as the pressure mounted.
Here's what the deal is. I have enough evidence
Like what?
of the armed robbery, okay? But, if you're saying you didn't do it, you need to give me your side of the story.
I didn't do it.
Okay, well, give me your side of the story. You got to, convince me. Because I got a lot of evidence. I got a lot of physical evidence.
Well, like what? Name the physical
Well, I don't need to. Why should I tell you that?
The detectives, sensing the traditional approaches were making no headway, began to deploy a series of psychological tactics designed to unsettle Jeff and coax him into a confession. They oscillated between playing the good cop and bad cop, a classic strategy intended to disorient and break down a suspect's resolve. Yet, Jeff remained impervious to these attempts, recognizing them as manipulative strategies rather than genuine offers of help. His responses were sharp, a clear indication of his refusal to be convinced by emotional ploys. Another key moment developed when the bad cop intensified the pressure, casting insinuations about Jeff's past and character, aiming to provoke a defensive, or better yet, a self-incriminating response. Jeff, however, needed to be more easily baited. He countered these accusations and composed assertion of his innocence.
You haven't helped me out at all. You give me a little bit, I give you a little bit. We go back and forth. I give you one of my pieces of evidence, now give me a little something. All right? What time did you get over to Aaron's house?
No, anything I say here can and will be used against me.
Sure, but anything you say here, I can also tell your parole officer, and you help me out.
That doesn't mean dick.
He repeatedly affirmed his right to remain silent and his desire for legal representation, effectively neutralizing the detectives' psychological tricks. His ability to deflect their strategies not only frustrated their efforts, but also highlighted the ineffectiveness of their attempts to break his resolve. The culmination of this intense interrogation revealed no confession, no slip-up from Jeff that could be used against him. The detectives, despite their exhaustive arsenal of tactics, were forced to confront the reality that their approach had yielded nothing substantive.
Make it quick. I got things to do.
Butterfinger, you promised.
I didn't promise you that. I said we'd see what happens. All right? Like I said, you haven't helped me out at all. Why should I help you out? I got you a soda. That's good enough.
Jeff's steadfast maintenance of his innocence and rights under pressure highlighted the interrogation's outcome, an impasse with no charges substantiated against him. His defense had not only withstood the intensified interrogation, but had also exposed the limits of psychological pressure when met with informed resistance. The interrogation's intensity didn't break Pearson. Instead, it revealed the limits of psychological pressure. How did this resilience lead to his eventual release? The grueling interrogation of Jeff Pearson concluded with his release, marking a significant victory for him against the formidable machinery of law enforcement. After enduring nearly a day of intense scrutiny, without yielding an inch to the detective's psychological ploys, Jeff walked free. Remarkably, no charges related to the alleged robbery were filed against him, nor did he serve any time for the incident, underlining the lack of substantive evidence beyond circumstantial connections. In the aftermath, Jeff's ordeal transformed him into something of a legend within certain circles. His adept handling of the interrogation process, coupled with his eventual release, elevated him to cult figure status among those fascinated by the interaction between law enforcement and the rights of the individual. The release of the interrogation footage on Jeff's own YouTube channel not only validated his claims of innocence, but also served as an educational tool for others on how to react in similar situations. Post-interrogation, Jeff Pearson's life took a positive turn. Moving away from his troubled past, he began to focus on personal growth and creativity, channeling his experiences into music and other forms of expression. His journey from a suspect under the glare of police scrutiny to a free man advocating for rights and resilience is a compelling story of redemption and the power of self-advocacy. As Pearson walked free, transforming from suspect to a cult figure, his story didn't just end. It began a new chapter of inspiration and education for many.